Hello, hello. So, I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing at the moment. I'm stepping out on faith just a little bit, or you call it whatever you want. But so let me give you a little bit of background. Um, you know, trying to sleep like most people do. Last night, I'm on my phone and going through it, going through all the things. Anyways, um, but I see a video from Philip Anthony Mitchell, and it was on Jude 1:3. It's only one Jude, but the book of Jude, verse 3. And I am actually getting better at that. If I don't know if that part was even in the last video, but I was having some serious troubles with that. The difference between the chapter and the verse. I don't know why, but I was just very confused in that moment. But yeah. So I'm watching it, and he's talking about it, and he's talking about how when he goes to be with the Lord, and when he's praying, he prays with this verse in his heart, and he made a very compelling argument, almost like that maybe you should, like, in general, like, try to have Jude 3 in your heart, or 1:3 in your heart when you go to pray, or when you know what I mean. And so I'm like, that's interesting, because that's kind of what I got from it. But I'm like, I don't know what that is, so I went to go check it out. And real quick, it's not even, oops, my bad, it's not even a long verse, but I'll go ahead and say it real quick. Jude 1:3. Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation, it was needful for me to write unto you and exhort you that ye should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints. And that's it. And well, if you don't know what exhort means or contend, that might, at least to me, if you don't know what those words mean, you might just be a little okay. So yeah. And exhort basically means to urge, and contend basically means to compete. More so, like, I feel like people usually know that, but assert, even, you know what I mean. And it's hard to contend with your faith if you don't step out on faith, if you're not strong enough in it to assert your faith, you know what I mean. Like, not, you don't gotta go around, excuse me, in my opinion, you don't have to go around you don't have to go around telling any and everybody. You don't have to come up to people and make them listen to you. But you know what I mean? Who would believe in anything you believe in if you don't believe in it yourself? It's as simple as that. So it's important to be diligent in your own faith, basically. And it's not easy for anything. And I would argue it's a lot harder for other things generally, but that's not what this is about. What is this about? I would say this is about exactly what it says, that ye should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints. And I struggle with it daily. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not always there praying, or I'm not always here praying, is what I should say. I'm not praying every morning. I'm not even praying every night. But I come across certain things, like my nephew not being able to sleep, or people in my family being sick, or just stuff like that, or even my own personal problems, like when it's hard to find a job, or like uh, overweight, and you keep eating all the bad stuff, and you know making all your progress go to waste, and just stuff like that. Like I try to, but I don't pray for all that stuff all the time. But like that is the stuff I pray about, and I feel like I should pray about more. And it's hard because you have to earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints. The book is here, the words are here. Generally speaking, my life's not particularly hard. It's like, yeah, I got problems. Who doesn't have problems? But it's a lot of tools available to me. It's a lot more benefits than negatives, and it's still hard to be diligent in my faith. And you could say it's simply you don't fully believe kind of thing. I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's more of I've just been more or less, yeah, I've been ruled by my own flesh for so long. I want to say at least the last 18 years, but I would say, you know, I've been like I said, I've been on something like a journey for like the last 5 years. I don't know who's if you heard me say that, but yeah, about the last 5 years, and it's not nothing that's gonna change overnight. And if I had to say like what the journey's about, it's definitely about walking more with God than with myself or other people of the world. It's about fighting against my own flesh. It's about fighting against evil spirits, and you know, like what is an evil spirit? To me, it's more like when it's a little. I couldn't tell you because I'm doing this all off the top of my head, and like I'm not gonna sit here and act like I've thought about how to put something like an evil spirit into words. I just generally know when I don't like it, I don't like it, and it's not for something as simple as like face value. It's more like the undertones of it. But I want to say it's when it's rooted in something that's not of God, basically. And I don't think you have to actually be deep or diligent into your faith to actually sense something like that. I think that would be kind of ridiculous, honestly. I think it helps 100%. I think it helps, but I have never been diligent or deep into my faith or any faith really, but I've always kind of had like that sixth sense for things. And is it always correct? I'm not gonna say yes, and I'm not gonna say no. Do I always listen? Heck no. So it's like there's always that part. But yeah, I would say if it's not rooted in God, if that's not where it's coming from, and it's like you could kind of tell when the spirit of something is malicious, or I guess another way that people like to say would be the energy of it is malicious, or not what's the word? It's not good natured, I guess you could say. And not everything that's good natured is of God. Like that's one of my biggest problems with churches is that it's a lot of good natured people. It's a lot of people that mean well, but they're not being biblical, and they're not representing God how the Bible would say represent God. And if you believe the Bible to be God inspired, or whatever you want to call it, then that's a big deal. That's a big deal. But yeah, like I'm saying, it's something that came to me last night. You know, like I said, I like watching Philip Anthony Mitchell. He's a great guy, and you know, I really appreciated. I really appreciate his fire. A lot of people might call it aggression. Sure, fire could. Interestingly enough, and I heard this from like one of my games, but it could comfort and soothe just as well as burn and destroy. It's, you know what I mean? It's very appreciated. Does that mean I'm always gonna like it or anybody's always gonna like it? Probably not, but it's necessary. Is very necessary to have that fire, and you know, I feel like that's what I want to strive to have more of, is more fire in my faith. And you know, that's gonna take some praying with Jude 1:3 in my heart. That's what that's kind of why I'm here now, not just as like a prayer, because I'm not necessarily praying right now, but just like an acknowledgement for myself and anyone else who might care. It's not gonna always be easy. You're supposed to have problems, and you have those problems so you can, you know, lean more onto your faith or whatever else you choose. Like, that's always an option. I wouldn't recommend anything else. You know what I mean? But when it comes to life in general, you know, I don't want to say it's hard to be diligent, but it's very easy to be complacent. So, you know, like, it kind of goes. I feel like that's a better way to say it, and especially when it comes to faith, especially when it comes to things that you feel that you don't have to do, and you don't have to do a lot of things. You know what I mean? So I want to kind of urge myself to contend more with my own faith. I want to, and not just me, but you know, everyone. I want to assert my faith more into my life, and you know, not just my life, but you know, be more of like a lighthouse for my faith. You know what I mean? Like, not have a problem with putting up the light and letting it shine, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And I don't really want to drag this out like a whole lot per se, but I'm not sure what's on my heart at the moment, but I know I'm trying to get it off, you know? And I have to say, probably one of the biggest problems I have, and it's even a problem I'm having right now, sort of, is being more interested in other things other than contending with my faith, basically. And I've talked to my cousin about this. It's, you know, it's hard sometimes. Like, I don't want to say it's hard sometimes. It's a challenge to make time for God. It's a challenge to, you know, do the things that you think you should do. It's a challenge to do the things that you want to do sometimes. And, you know, it's just something that comes with life, but it's a challenge. And it's a challenge to make time for God, and it's a challenge to stay diligent. It's a challenge to, get yourself motivated to do anything sometimes. Like, at least me personally. But hey, it's a challenge that has to be met, or, you know, perish, basically. And I think that is more so true for the rules of life, the rules of the world per se. Um, you have to meet the challenge. You got to rise above, or I should say, you got to rise to the occasion, or you know, suffer basically. Um, but I really don't want to drag on anymore. I think I said what was on my heart for the most part. Um, you know, I that's kind of what my aim is in general at the moment. Like that's what I'm trying to get deeper into my faith. I'm trying to be more diligent. I'm I'm trying to let people know. I'm not even trying to let people know, but I'm trying to uh for sure talk about. And you're gonna, like, I'm not trying to go to people individually and do all of this stuff. I don't. That's not what I'm feeling called to do at the moment. Uh, but I do want to let people know. I do want to assert my faith. You know what I mean? And my faith is that there is a common salvation. I wanna I wanna urge people just as much as urge myself, and that's kind of why uh, I'm I'm doing this whole YouTube thing at the moment. Or why I've kind of changed directions for the most part, because before I definitely didn't have an aim. It was just kind of whatever, and now I'm settling on something, and I have to say that's probably been my biggest contention, and I think everyone's biggest contention with when it comes to any type of faith or religion or whatever you want to call it, uh, is settling on something. It's so many options out there, so many choices, so much information. It's a whole lot of misinformation. It's a whole lot of you don't know. How could I know? You know what I mean? But, and I say this just like I say to anybody else, like, you gotta pray about it. And most importantly, in my experience, when it comes to praying for things, when it comes to talking to God, He gives you answers faster than sometimes that you could faster than you could realize sometimes. And that's just the truth. Like, you may be asking Him for clarification or asking Him for confirmation on something that He may have already confirmed. You know what I mean? It's like he may have already given you some type of clarity on it, and you just not wanting to accept the answer, ignored it, looked over it, walked past it. Shut your eyes to it, shut your heart to it, shut your ears to it. That's very real things. And I'll share this with you. I mean this, like, because when I'm saying what I'm saying, I mean it so sincerely. I've literally been going through my life, literally just thinking about God, and not even about God specifically, but thinking about a sign, a like, man, I wish it was some way I could know for sure, kind of thing. And literally, I'm walking to the front door. I'm thinking these thoughts, like, all the way to the front door, kind of thing. I open up the front door, I step outside, and I hear, like, the most majestic thing ever, I guess. And maybe majestic's not the word, but it was just like what do you call it? It's not a school of birds, a flock of birds. There you go. Just, and I think it was colder outside. I don't know if it was like a migration group or what, but yeah, there was just a whole bunch of birds that just flew right over our house. And I'm just like, it was amazing, honestly, and it was crazy to see. Like, it was just crazy. Like, I don't know. I want to say they landed on our tree, but I want to say a lot of them were coming out of the trees, and they were just flying off, and it was just, I don't know, it was crazy. Like, I asked for some type of confirmation, and I'm not gonna say God works like that, but it's just things happen sometimes, and it's like I could have easily passed that off as some other BS. I could have easily. Everyone could, but that's not how I looked at it. It's not, and more importantly, I didn't close my heart off to it. I didn't take that as 100% confirmation right there in that moment. That's the truth. I did not take it as confirmation right there in that moment, but I wasn't overlooking it. I'm like, that was pretty amazing. That was amazing, and it kind of just stuck with me. And that I felt like that was what's most important, is that I didn't rule it out. You know, my biggest experience with my faith is that God works in mysterious ways, and you can't rule everything out. I want to say that's probably one of my biggest qualities. I don't rule a lot of things out until I know with 100% certainty, and you know, that might even sound kind of crazy, because like, how could you know 100%? God let me know. He's gonna let you know to some degree, and you gotta be willing to hear, listen, understand, and you know, go on faith. It may not be a booming voice in your head. It may not be a flock of birds. It may not be, you know, the ones you love being resurrected, or a ghost of them telling you about this, that, and the third. It may not be that. It may be something completely different, but it's gonna probably most likely be something significant to you. Like, you know? And yeah, I wanna say that's one of the most amazing things, and probably one of the most misunderstood things when it comes to God, is that, you know, he does work in mysterious ways. And he's not here to give you signs how you want them given. You know what I mean? Just like life doesn't just clear all the crap out the way just so you could have a smooth walk. It's not how it works. But yeah, that's what I'm on. And I'm sorry for all the stuttering per se. It's like, I just want to make sure that, you know, I'm giving my honest opinion. I guess you could say I'm giving my honest feelings, and not just that, but not misinformation. I don't want to be misleading. I don't want to be misguiding. I want to be a good representation of my faith. I want to be a good representation of Jesus. I want to do my best to be Christ-like, but I'm not Christ. You know what I mean? I'm not, and I won't act like it. And I want to say that's also another thing that could be hard sometimes, that you think you got to be perfect. And I said this in my other video. That's one of my biggest things. I want to be perfect. I'm gonna do my best, and that's generally what I'm good with, is just doing my best. And sometimes I have to wonder, you know, what my best is sometimes, but trying to do it. That's what's important, is trying to do it. And you know, I guess I'm kind of saying all this to say, like, you know, it's just another reason to be more diligent in your faith, being more faithful to it, being more active in it, you know, praying more, talking to God more, making more time for him. It's, you know, it's all part of it. And in the Bible it even talks about, I want to say it was, oh my goodness, it's a couple people, but I'm gonna say everybody's favorite because that's what I mostly know a little bit more about is David. He was favored by God. He was, I don't want to say it was one of God's favorites, but specifically what it said was David was a man after God's own heart. And as good as he was, I don't want to say just as bad, but he wasn't always right. And he didn't always do the best things. But it's important to keep trying and don't forget about God. And I want to say most likely when he was going through, because I don't know, I haven't read David's story per se, but when he was going through, his problems, when he was going through his rut with the Lord, it was probably like, he just kind of wasn't making the same type of time for him he was making. He probably was, you get king status, you might forget who had your back all of a sudden. Like you enjoying the I don't want to say fruits of your labor, but you know what I mean? Like you having your cake and you eating it too kind of thing. And like what's the point of having the cake if you're not going to eat it too? But sure, do that. But don't forget to save a slice for the Lord. Like that's basically what I'm getting at. So yeah. That's kind of what my mission is, and what I'm aiming to accomplish with all of this is to deepen my own faith and maybe just kind of be that stepping stone or that lighthouse for somebody who's looking for God. Like literally, like I had this talk with one of my friends, and I've actually heard Cliff Netchell say, I think that's how you say it. He doesn't believe he's converted anybody to the faith. He doesn't. And it's crazy that you might believe it's crazy that he would say that, but considering how much advocating for the Lord that he's actually done, but it's not necessarily him that converts it. Just like sometimes it's not always him up there talking, it's the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean? And that's gonna be the thing that converts you. It's not me, it's not Cliff, it's not any other pastor, it's not gonna be Philip Anthony, it's not gonna be us that converts you, it's gonna be the Holy Spirit. And I'm not up here trying to be necessarily a pastor or anything like that. My whole thing is like I said before, like I'm trying to deepen my own faith and be a accurate representation of Christ. And it's like I'm trying to do the works of my Lord per se. Things that he did. He talked to the people. That's exactly what he did, but it was never about him. Like, sure, it's about Jesus, but it's not about Jesus. It's for God. It's for our Father in heaven. It's all glory be to God. Like that's exactly why Jesus was born, and that's why anybody in the faith would continue to follow Jesus's walk, because that is what that's the most significance I feel like he has, is that he was the perfect representation of God. That's all I want to be at the end of the day. And if I'm not that, at least a very good one. You know what I mean? Like that's how I see it. I'm not talking a whole lot of biblical things at the moment, but I think the spirit's there. I might be meaning well, but who knows if it's I'll leave that up to someone else to decide. But yeah, I think I think that's about it. I think that's all I have to say for real. yeah, this is kind of like, in my own way, this is like how I'm doing my own like personal worship of God, is doing a good service, you know. It's like, and it's important. I know I just said that's all I had to say, but service is very important. It is, and you're not gonna get out of it. It doesn't matter if you're serving God or if you're serving someone else, if you're serving yourself, if you're serving your employer, if you're serving a homeless person on the street. Doesn't matter if you're serving your kids. Doesn't matter if you're serving your friend. Like, you're gonna serve somebody at the end of the day, and I feel like this is kind of my way to best serve somebody, is to first serve the Lord, and serve the Lord by, you know, being one of his lighthouses, basically. You know what I mean? So yeah. Now that's kind of all I got to say, and you know, I'm gonna leave it at that. It was nice. It was nice talking. It was, you know, I hope I didn't sound too crazy, and you know, on that note, I see you guys later, and I hope y'all have a good rest of the day or night, whatever it may be, and God bless.